Welcome to the Utah Football Fans Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, go Utes. All right, Utah fans, welcome to a special edition of the Utah Football Fans Podcast. We are so excited to have our special guest, Cole Bagley, with us today. He is from Fan Nation All Utes. Yes, give him a nice round of applause. It is a division of Sports Illustrated, but Cole, you are everywhere. It feels like you're writing things, blogging things, podcasting things, all things Utah. So we're excited to chat with you. I think where I want to start is because you're kind of our insider info. I want to just get a little recap of camp. We were just talking about how media access is maybe going to get limited now, so you're going to get kicked out. But just give us a little recap and maybe what has been the biggest standout for you at camp so far.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a very interesting fall camp. I think overall, so this is my third season covering the University of Utah, and it's exciting and boring all at the same time. And I'd say more so boring than anything, but that's a position to be in as a college program. You know, there's not a lot of drama going on. It's not like years past where they're trying to figure out, you know, who's QB1. And last season, you know, they're bringing in, you know, a guy like Tavion Thomas. You're wondering, you know, who's going to emerge from the running backs. And there's some questions about the offensive line and stuff last season. But this year, they pretty much have everything figured out. I mean, there's a couple things that they're still trying to determine. Obviously, the QB2 race switch, but that, again, that's a good problem to have. You know that Rising is your guy going in, but QB2 is still up for grabs, which should be determined this Saturday. So we'll be keeping our ears open for Bryson Barnes or Jaquinta Jackson. And then the defense has really come along over the last week or so. Been able to talk to a couple of the guys yesterday and the day before, just in terms of, hey, you know, we heard there were some issues early on. Guys are saying, you know, during the spring camp that the offense was just picking apart the D, but now they've brought some guys in. They've got some, you know, really talented freshmen, and then some of those underclassmen that are now stepping into their second season have really embraced leadership roles, and the defense has come a long way, and they're about neck and neck at this point now. So overall, it's a pretty boring fall camp, but it's a good place to be in if you're a Utah fan, because that means that there's really not a lot of drama, and they know what, you know, how they're looking and what they're going to look like going into the season.
How much access have you had with camp?
I mean, in terms of media availability, full access. Unfortunately, you know, Kyle is one of those secretive coaches that doesn't let us watch any scrimmages or anything. We were very lucky to be able to do that during the spring, but camp has been closed. So we haven't been able to view anything, but I do have full access to media availabilities. I'm up there, you know, a couple times a week, and then, you know, got my sources inside the program and whatnot. So I'm about as you know, deep into the program as you can open up. So
Spies. You always need spies.
Yep, you do need spies.
What's the running back situation? We've debated that a little bit, as obviously Thomas would be number one, but what about 2 and 3, or what do you feel about that?
Nothing officially has been said on the pecking order, right? I mean, we know we know Tavion is going to be your number one guy, and I had a conversation with a few guys this last week, Bryson Barnes and Jalen Glover himself said, man, Tavion just tore it up in the scrimmage and looked fantastic. And there's really no reason that he shouldn't be the number one guy. As for number 2, I believe it's going to come down to Jalen Glover and Mekhi Bernard. To be honest, I don't exactly know where 2 is right now, but I think just kind of the things that I've heard and the things that I've seen, I really think Jalen is going to emerge really quickly. He is just an absolutely, you couldn't really be more college ready than this kid is. I mean, the adjustment period really is going to be non-existent. The only thing he doesn't have is in-game experience, but this running back room as a whole is arguably one of the most talented in the country. You know, you've got Mekhi Bernard and then Chris Curry. I actually had a conversation with Jalen yesterday. He said that Chris Curry is fantastic, and he has come a long way from the spring and last season. You know, he was kind of a guy that was pretty much non-existent last year, but a talented running back. You know, he He packs a punch. And according to Jalen, he looks good too. So I don't think there's going to be a single down of Utah football where there is not just a lethal running back in the back. And they're all versatile, right? Tavion is just this gigantic wrecking ball who creates his own gaps and his own seams. Jalen he also packs a really strong punch, but he's more agile, quick, fast, a little bit smaller. Makai is freakishly athletic. Very good in the passing game. And then Curry is a little bit somewhat similar, I think, to Tavion, just not as big. So it's a lethal group and one that should rack up a ton of yards and a lot of touchdowns.
Hey, going into camp, was there a position group that you were more nervous about and kind of where they stand now? I for me, it was linebacker. I feel pretty good about it now, just because some of the guys we lost and then some of the guys that came in. Kind of uncertainty, but what have you seen? Was there a group for you that was like, hey, I want to keep an eye on these guys?
I think the wide receivers, just because you lost the guy that was almost here for a decade, right? I mean, Britton Covey spent a lot of seasons at the University of Utah, and he's gone, and that's a tough guy to replace, not only in the wide receiving group, but on special teams. They're kind of intertwined, right? I mean, most of the receivers are the guys that are up for, fielding those punts or kick returns. But I think the receivers have come a long way. Bailey is looking unbelievable. He is going to have potentially the biggest breakout season, I think, on the team, as long as Rising throws him the ball. But if spring was any indication of connection that those two have, he's looking for Vele very often. Obviously, he's going to have to battle with the tight ends for targets and whatnot. But according to Witt, Vele is the number one receiver. Behind him is just Solomon Enos, and then Money Parks. He has really started to emerge. Maturity has been a big thing for him. He's really bought into the system, bought into what Coach Bump has been telling him, and he has come. And I'm also really excited about these freshman wide receivers, Teo Johnson, Sydney and Banasaur. I'm not sure if you guys saw that TikTok of Sydney and Banasaur mossing JT Broughton last week. Just an unbelievable play. He goes up above JT, catches it right in his face and brings it down. And I just think, I had a conversation with Solomon Enos 2 days ago, and Solo said that these are arguably two of the most college-ready freshman receivers he's ever been around. So just really, really exciting. I think a lot of people were worried that they were going to drag the team down, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they have significantly improved. Ele and Solo will lead that room. I expect, Money Parks and Makai Cope to kind of come in as that third and fourth guy. And then I think those freshman receivers are going to see some good reps, especially Teo Johnson, who was clocked at running about 21, 22 miles an hour. So he's a speedy guy.
Well, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
Go for it, man.
I was just going to ask, so going into this season, obviously the expectations are really high. This is the highest ranked Utah team out the gate we've ever had. What's the feel and the vibe around the team? I'm just kind of curious what this year versus maybe the last 2 years you've covered.
I think last year they allowed the hype to get to their heads a lot more than they're letting that this year.
Interesting.
Last year, a lot of guys brought up how good they really thought the team could be. A lot of guys on their own in interviews and whatnot would say things like, we're going to win the pack. And obviously they did, but they talked about, national championship hopes and whatnot. And obviously it didn't quite turn out that way. I think, if Rising would have started at the beginning of last year, that may have been the case. Maybe they're a dark horse going in with a single loss or something along those lines. But I think they learned a lot from last season, and really the attitude and the vibes right now around camp is they're not paying attention to that ranking. They don't care. And I love that, because you need to not, it doesn't matter. You can let that get. Do I think they deserve to be ranked in the top 10 and right around that 7-8 spot? Absolutely. But I love that no matter who you ask, whether it's Kyle, Rising, Solomon Enos, really anybody. I mean, there's been tons of guys that have been asked that question, and they all answer the same thing. Doesn't matter. We're just worried about, what we have ahead of us week 1, going 1-0 every single week. And their focus right now is Florida. They understand that they got to win that game if they're really going to validate, where they've been ranked. If you go in and lose, that season that you're hoping for pretty much goes out the window. So the vibe right now is just not paying attention to anything, but just really keeping things inside and internal and just focusing on playing, solid football.
In our last podcast, we talked about the Florida game a little bit. I say we're going to go in and beat them by 10. The other two, Bryn and James, are gutless and we're afraid to give a prediction. I say we win by 10. Come on. So what are you thinking?
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of factors going into this game, right? I mean, Florida had a bit of a season last year. They're below 500. However, they're seen an overhaul. They've got a very talented quarterback. Their defensive line is very, very good. And then they're still an SEC team, and they're an SEC environment. Not only an SEC environment, but polar opposite climate. And obviously the Utes are trying to simulate those types of things with humidity and whatnot, which is actually pretty funny to see that we had some of the players with that. So there's a lot of factors going in. Do I think Utah is the better team? 100%. But it's going to, and what I love is that the chemistry should already be there. The vast majority of your offensive weapons are returning from last season. So there really shouldn't be that 2-3 game period where it's like, oh, we're trying to figure each other out. No, that should already be figured out. What has me not really worried, but where there's going to be some adjustment period is the defense. Now they have come a long way, but what I know is that communication is the primary focus right now that they're really trying to figure out. They lost a guy like Devin Lloyd, Mika Tafua, Vontae Davis. These were some of the most vocal leaders on the team, and now they're looking to replace those guys. But to answer your question, I think it's Utah by a possession, whether that's 3 points or 7 points. I think Utah comes out on top by just a single possession. I just think it's going to be tough. Florida would love nothing more than to prove all those preseason rankings incorrect and knock the reigning Pac-12 champions off their rocker and show that the SEC is still, dominant. No matter how far you have to go down the line of the SEC, they want to beat a Pac-12 champion. So it's going to be tough, but I got Utah by a possession.
Oh, I hope you're wrong. That's too close.
I hope you're wrong too.
That's too close for comfort for me. We do have a little breaking news today. They just announced the team captains for the year. So I just wanted to make sure we mention those. So Cam Rising, I think that's no surprise again. Brant Keithy, Devin Kafusi, and Clark Phillips. So I want to know your thoughts on that, Cole. And I am noticing there's not really any special teams guys listed there, which I feel like is maybe a change from what we've had in the past. And special teams is definitely a concern, but how do you feel about those 4 guys being captains?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that list and it's just, I don't think you could find better leaders on this current roster. Cam Rising, man, you listen to the way that Kyle Whittingham describes him. And 2 weeks ago, he said, there is not an imperfection in his game. That is some high praise coming from Whit. That's not something that we often hear Whittingham say, but Rising just lead by example very well. And he's also serious. I think he does have that kind of fun, comical side to him. He's a serious guy. It's all business. So Rising makes a whole lot of sense. Just the way he sparked the offense last year, that itself deserves to put a C on his jersey. So Devin Kafusi, another guy, a little bit more, I think, laid back, not quite so serious, but very caring. He cares about his teammates. He looks out for them. He's just a funny guy. And I think that goes a long way in terms of leadership, a guy that can, just kind of make a joke and keep things kind of relaxed. That's kind of what I see from Devin. Clark, commander-in-chief of the defense. Again, just a guy that is very serious, not only in what he said, but in what he does as well. We had an interview with Sharif Jah this last week, and the way they described Clark's personality, the things that he does differently, he's established just an incredible culture, not only in the corner room, but on the defense as a whole. Shah said that not long ago they had almost all the guys up there on a Sunday studying film. It's not something they've had really before. So Clark just he has his standards and he brings people with him because he wants results, and he's proven that he can get results with the way he does things, and guys are taking notice of that. As for Keithy, we actually had an interview discussion with Freddie Whittingham today, and he said that the biggest thing that he's noticing Keefe going into the season that's been different is his leadership. He's been a lot more vocal, and he too is a guy that's starting to bring guys along with him. He realizes that he wasn't ready to go to the NFL, so he came back, and I think that's one thing that he's really trying to focus on is just being more of a leader. So those 4 guys, I think, are excellent choices.
Cole, tell us about the shirts and the guys you're working with, doing some NIL stuff with some of the players, and where we can find your stuff. I see you're rocking the Beat Florida one right now. I hope the humidity is not too much, for Glover. I think he might struggle with that from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we've signed some quite a few guys to some NIL deals. Just really seizing the opportunity to not only try to improve the NIL environment, if you will, here in Utah. There really hasn't been a lot of opportunities. You look around the country and there's a lot of things going on for a lot of different programs, and Utah is kind of slacking a little bit. So we saw that opportunity. We've seized it. What we've done is we've signed quite a few guys: Jalen Glover, Devon Bailey, Rene Reed, Justin Medlock, Bryson Barnes. Now we've got 2 more guys that we'll be announcing shortly, and we're really excited about it. So we put together some podcasts with these guys that you can find on our channel, just Fan Nation All Utes, on any podcast platform. You can listen to their background stories, where they come from, things that are important to them, current issues. Jalen Glover is a guy that is very involved, wants to be very involved in the community, and we had the team chaplain on, and we talked about social justice and those types of things, which were very eye-opening, very, very intriguing and interesting to listen to. So we've done podcasts. We've done some events. You guys obviously were a part of our event at R&R barbecue. It's a lot of fun and opportunity to meet these guys, to get to know them, and then as part of it, to try to get them some cash, some money, and build their brands. We put together some apparel for them, which can be found at allutefans.com. Sure, it's like the one where Beat Florida. It's got Jalen sitting down here with his number 1 and his unique logo and his number 1 chain that he wears. We made sure to keep that on there. I have a little extra swag. So we've done things like that for all the guys. It's been a lot of fun. We've actually had really, really good interactions so far. Done quite a good number in sales. So people are interested in supporting these athletes, which is really the most important thing. It's helping them make a little extra money while they, we love these guys, and this is a way that you can show appreciation and love for them.
Yeah, it's cool. We need to support them. It's great. It's great.
It's definitely been a lot of fun. So.
Well, speaking of fun, I think that we want to ask you some more fun questions now. That's, we like to screw around a little bit, but these are a couple of things we've been doing over the last few weeks. So you just have to rapid fire, think right off the top of your head.
Okay.
Who has the best helmet in college football?
Oh, Utah, hands down.
Okay, you can't outside of Utah. We know.
That's a homer answer. Let's get.
It's the right answer, but
I had to say that.
I know,
man. The best helmet. That is really hard. Notre Dame.
That was
Are
mine.
you freaking kidding me?
That was mine. Hey Cole, you and I.
Oh,
it's simple. It's classic. It's iconic, and it just looks good.
See? Exactly. Speaking of Notre Dame, have you watched the Manti Te'o documentary?
Yes.
You watched that?
Oh
my gosh.
Actually.
No, I haven't.
I feel so bad for that dude. I feel so bad for that guy. Just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we all knew the surface level of that story, but holy cow, that's insane. And can I just say, he looked damn good.
He's a handsome fella. Gary, he's a handsome fella.
I think he lives here in Utah.
Well, that's not
He
good
does?
for Bryn.
I'm pretty sure he lives. After I watched it, I just was interested in what he's doing now. So I mean, he did still have an 8-year career in the NFL. It obviously didn't turn out the way that it should have. I think the last team he played for was New Orleans back in 2020. He was put on the the injured reserve, and then they picked him up because of some injuries and COVID, people not being out with COVID, and then they didn't re-sign him. And so I think he's officially retired from the NFL. And now I think he's just doing a whole bunch of business deals and whatnot. I looked up his Instagram, and it looks like he lives down in Utah County. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where he's at.
Well, we might just have to find out. Okay.
Notre Dame. Okay, I'll have to overlook that.
No, see, he's right. Cole, you are right. Okay, so now the worst helmet in college football.
Alabama.
Okay, that's a
Good answer. Good answer. Penn State's
It's
number
just-
one, but Alabama, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
No, it's Michigan. I'm just telling you, Michigan's the ugliest helmet in the country.
That's I could see that. I could see that.
See,
And BYU
okay.
is not too far off. So
Yeah, that was my worst. Michigan and the Zoobs helmet.
We don't
Okay.
talk about
Fair
that, no.
That's enough of them, but yeah.
Okay, we're gonna give you some would you rathers. So these are a few that we talked about on our last episode. So would you rather go see an Ohio State Michigan game or Alabama Auburn?
Alabama, Auburn.
Really?
Hmm.
I think we all chose Ohio State Michigan.
I just think the SEC is different, and a lot of times, I mean, obviously the Ohio State, the other game. Did you say Michigan State, Ohio State, or Ohio State, Michigan?
Ohio State.
Michigan.
Okay, very close, but yeah, I just think the SEC is different. I've got quite a few friends from Alabama, and they're insane. So I just think that kind of environment just sounds really fun. Like you just have the crazy fans, and they hate each other. I mean, the other schools hate each other too. But to me, I think if you were, to be in Alabama and watch one of those games, that I would choose that.
Okay, then would you rather go see Florida State or Texas A&M?
That's a tough one.
We asked the hard hitting questions here.
No,
Important stuff.
no, this is the most I've had to think for a minute. I'm gonna go Texas A&M. I just think that the Texas environment is probably just better, but I'll be able to tell you how good Florida is here pretty soon. So
Right.
True. Okay, USC Notre Dame or the Army Navy game?
USC Notre Dame.
That was Gary's.
Army Navy just doesn't
Absolutely.
intrigue me as much in terms of football.
Yeah, the spectacle would be cool, but I don't want to see running
Yeah.
golf the whole time, huh, James? No,
It's just
USC
a
Notre
different type of
Dame.
athlete. Yeah, just a different type of athlete. And I'd love to see Notre Dame whoop USC. So
Oh yeah.
That would be wonderful, actually. Yes, I agree with that. Okay, last one, and this one is the hardest one, and I hope you can answer it because Gary couldn't even answer.
No, there's no answer.
Gary
to
can't
this.
pick.
No answer.
So would you rather see your rival win the national championship, or you can never go see Utah play in person ever again?
I have to see my rival because my job is to literally watch Utah football in person. So
Right, so you'd be out of a job.
we'll just consider our rival. We'll just consider our rival Colorado, not the team
Yeah.
outside.
Sure,
That's what we
That's
said.
an out.
I can
Yep.
live with that.
good answer.
That is a good
Well,
answer.
That Rumble in the Rockies. It's a rough one every year.
I don't know why they call that it. I don't know why it's called that anymore, but it is
It's
what
not.
it is.
They're
Our rival.
not really our rival, but whatever. It was a good answer. Well, Cole, thank you so much for joining us. This is fun to chat with you, and I know that we'll
Yeah.
hopefully do this throughout the season as you get busier, and hopefully we have more things to celebrate and talk about. But why don't you give us your website one more time of where people can find the shirts and all the merchandise that you're doing with the guys?
Yeah, so you can just check out allutefans.com. It's a site that we launched almost, we're coming up on about 3 weeks ago, and it's got, as of right now, it's got Jalen Glover, Corinne Reed, Devon Bailey, and Justin Medlock. We are very close to putting Bryson Barnes stuff up on there, and then like I said, we've got 2 more athletes that we're really excited about that we'll be adding here in the next few weeks. Hopefully we can get it up before Florida, but if not, very shortly thereafter. And like I said, it's cool stuff. We got a designer that does a great job, very detailed in the designs. And I think they look cool. I think it's fun what we've been able to do, and the guys have really enjoyed it, and it means a lot to them. I was speaking with one of them the other day, and his mom got a look at the site and called him right away. Just was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool! This is so fun!" So it means a lot to these guys because they do us all a great service, right? They play football for the school that we love, and obviously they do have their education most of the time taken care of. But it's nice to be able to give back, and it's a cool way, right? I mean, for the longest time, you haven't really been able to specifically support your favorite players. Now you have the opportunity to do that with NIL. So yeah, allutefans.com is where they can check out the apparel. And then if they want to read our articles or listen to our podcast, they can just go to si.com/college/Utah for all the most up-to-date and latest articles on what's going on up on the hill.
Hey, awesome. Thank you so much. And we will see you in Florida.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Cole.
Thank you. Go Utes.